Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Today is Tuesday, April the 10th, 2012. We're looking at a few European markets, starting off with the French CAC 40 index. And you'll notice that we've been short for a while in many of the markets, global markets, and we continue to be that way, just advancing our stops along the way. And we've done so with French markets as well today. And you could advance your stops as tight as you'd like. I've just advanced mine to the low of the previous candlestick here. That's where I've set the stop at. You'll notice that it's basically at the 200-day moving average, and I expect with this now closing below the 200-day moving average, you're actually turning from a bull market to a bear market. It'll take some time for it to actually prove itself, but that's typically what starts to happen in a change from a bull market to a bear market. Is you start to fall below the 200-day moving average, close below that, and then eventually you will see price activity will not be able to close above the 200. It'll start acting as resistance. We haven't seen that for a while, so that's something to keep note of here. You also notice this previous we were talking about a while back. We had this first shoulder of the head formation and the second shoulder, and then closing below that neckline. We talked about this before it happened, and once it did happen, we said to simply take this distance here, measure that out from the high point of the head down to the neckline. That distance, you take that and you subtract that from the breakout, that tells you about how low to expect price to go, gives you some kind of a target. We've already reached that point and actually superseded that here. So what you want to do is definitely take your stop loss limit and tighten up on your short position here, because eventually you're going to get a bounce and you want to get stopped out of that. Again, in this situation with this downtrend obviously in effect, and we're now starting to turn from a bull market to a bear market, we want to look for more short opportunities, but we're going to need to find another bounce opportunity to short, and right now we don't have that. So don't be chasing this market lower. If you were in it back here, we got in it. If you took that opportunity, if you had the opportunity here when you sold off and then jumped back up to the neckline and found resistance there, it was another opportunity for you. If you've missed those and you're trying to short now, I wouldn't be doing that. Let the market fall. Eventually it will reverse back the other way, and at that point you'll find resistance again. You'll still find a series of lower highs. That will be another short opportunity for you, but wait for that next opportunity. Looking at Germany, the DAX composite, you will notice we are also in a downtrend here. Same overall story as the French. I don't really see a head and shoulders pattern here. Someone else could have drawn it out that way. I did not. So you can trade however you like. I've simply advanced my stop on this one, continuing to increase our gains on this short that we had back here. The stop was way up here. Now we've advanced it way down here at the low point of this candlestick. We're simply drawing a line right there, and then as she continues to fall, we'll continue to advance that stop. All right. Main thing to note about all the global markets you're seeing right now is this particular candlestick formation that you have right here. This is not a hammer candlestick formation. A hammer tells you that you have some support. You've fallen to a point where you're starting to find support. Over here, you had sold off, and then you formed a hammer formation, telling you there was support. It was right here. Only today, you can see that we've actually broken down below that support line. We're basically falling apart now. The markets are starting to fall apart. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. I told you we were breaking the major supports. When you do that, then you're going to free fall until you find another support. So this one could be down here at the 200-day moving average before we start to see another one of these hammer candlestick formations show up. At that point, I may take a trade on the long side just to play the bounce to the upside. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But for now, just let this market fall. Don't try to jump in there and call a bottom. Let it totally prove itself before you try to buy it. And this is not the time. The India Bombay Stock Exchange, this is the last short trade that we took in the markets, was right here. You could have taken advantage of that on the following day. She's moved to the downside here, advanced the stop to the high of today's candlestick formation. As long as she continues to make lower series of highs and lower series of lows, you stay with it, keep advancing the stop. But whenever that turns, you want to be out of that trade. And right now, we still have making money to the downside there, so just keep following it. The London Financial Times Index, or the FTSE, has probably been one of the most successful trades we've had this recent past couple of weeks. This one and Canada were both really strong movers for us. So advance your stop. I'm really pleased with this move here. You'll notice that we have actually come down and closed below this previous support that we had here. And we talked about the resistance that was here. That's why we were finding support right there. Well, that broke down as we're talking about. These major supports are breaking down. So to see it fall apart here on the FTSE doesn't surprise us. And it's what we've seen with the other global markets. It's what you should see at the FTSE. So that's breaking down here. That's great. I want to take my stop loss limit and move it way down here and capture some of that gain. and make sure I lock that in case we do shift back the other direction. Right now, this particular candlestick formation is showing no signs of stopping at this point. That doesn't mean it can't. What it means is that this isn't really the bottom. So what happens now, if tomorrow were to be an up day in the markets, you can look back at this previous low here and say, okay, this is not showing a true support here. And when that's the case, that means the bounce is not likely to be realistic. It's short term before they reverse back in the other direction and go even lower. We'll talk about that more when it happens, but for now, just keep an eye on the candlestick formations. That's really important. It can indicate a bottom when you start to see one form in a hammer formation, but right now we're not seeing that. But when that starts to form, I will bring it to your attention, let you know what we're seeing, potential bottom, maybe I'll trade it to the upside, whatnot. But right now, the markets are falling apart and we're just making money to the downside because we saw it coming a long time ago. If you've not been to our free website at perfectstockalert.com, it's right there, 100% free. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Remember, all of the global markets, including the U.S., oil, gold, U.S. dollar, all that stuff is kept on our free website at perfectstockalert.com. I update them every single night, so even if we don't bring them out and show it to you in a video tonight, we have updated them. Also, for those of you looking for information regarding the U.S. markets, we covered that last night, so you know everything you need to know right now. We'll bring out another video tomorrow. God bless, take care, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Please take a moment to review our disclaimer. The information provided herein is our opinion only. Under no circumstances do any statements here represent a recommendation to buy or sell securities or make any kind of an investment. You are responsible for your own due diligence. To summarize, we do not provide investment advice, nor do we make any claims or promises that any information here will lead to a profit, loss, or any other result. These videos are for educational purposes only.